Hello, it's Talking Reds. Happy match day, everyone around the world. It is John Gibbons and Josh Sexton, and we're here, obviously, to look ahead to Liverpool v Arsenal tonight. We've also got a bit of... Talking Reds, happy match day. Sorry, that completely threw me. We've also... I just came from somewhere else. We've also got to talk about the Mo Salah stuff that came out in the half-10, so in the embargoed bit of the press conference that they do show us on YouTube, but luckily Paul Gust and the boys write it up. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as well. We've also got some information on some upcoming live shows in Ireland next week that you can get tickets for now. But yeah, are you excited for the game? Obviously some of the talk who have gone down. Neil's been there since Monday, which is impressive. Treating it like a European away. So Neil's been down there. Dan and Fuad gone down today. Andy's in a car with Taggy at the moment. It does feel like a massive game, especially after early in the week.
Yeah, we talked about how much Neil is trying to get content in pubs recently, and this felt like a bridge too far, to be honest, for him to have gone down on the Monday night. But no, it's one of them, isn't it? Like when you see Arsenal away in a midweek coming up, you almost don't even think about the idea of, going and getting tickets. And then when it gets to the day and like you've got all your mates going down and that kind of thing, it really like tempts you into it more and gets you more up for it. So it's good to see some of the lads have like gone down there and will be, I've no doubt, enjoying themselves today. And it's a massive game, isn't it? It was always going to be a massive game, but City dropping points on the Monday has just made it feel that extra bit special now. And obviously you want the Reds to go out and do the business tonight. But Jurgen Klopp has been sort of talking it up the other day as well, because Arsenal are in great form. So it's going to be a dead tight game. I think it's going to be a massive game for Liverpool's season. As I say, I hope the Reds can do the business.
Yeah, it's a huge game. I don't know whether you feel that the Monday made it sort of bigger or not. I mean, I think either way we would have come out of this thinking 3 points is going to be massive, but getting that lead down to 1 point will be it'll be a huge thing for me psychologically, for everyone.
Yeah, I think like the sort of the modus operandi for Liverpool's not changed, has it? Like they were always going to need to win or at least aim to win these last 10 games and make sure that they capitalised on any Manchester City slips. I think it's just when Manchester City do actually slip, because you're almost you're saying they should win all the 10 games in with the sort of mindset that Manchester City might not slip up. So when they do, it feels like it sort of increases that importance almost. It means that particularly when City have just dropped the points, it means that the next game you have to keep the foot on the throat and you have to really keep the pressure on City, and that's an opportunity for Liverpool to do that tonight against a good side and to make a bit of a statement, to be honest, as well. You sort of look at the rest of Liverpool's fixtures, and Arsenal away is one of the tougher ones that Liverpool have got. So if they can sort of show Man City that even the toughest fixture they've got left in these last 10 is one that they can just sort of approach and sort of sweep aside, then it's going to be massive for this run into the end of the season, isn't it?
You said before that Arsenal are a good side, and I think they need respect. And there's been times over the last couple of years where we've played against Arsenal, you think, push them aside, do you know what I mean? They felt like a decent enough team, good young players, but a bit of a soft underbelly, but now they seem to have a bit more sort of steel about them. I think they've got a couple of players in midfield playing really well. I think Partey's really key for them when he's fit, and obviously he is at the moment. I think Odegaard's absolutely flying. I know Mo talked about it quite a bit on the preview show, sort of how well he's playing, and his leadership on the pitch as well has really impressed me. And obviously, the likes of Saka and Martinelli, if he's fit, there's a bit of a rumour about him. But up top, the good team, they've got good players, they'll be determined as well because they've got plenty to play for.
100%, yeah. Like they for me are the front runners for top four now. Yeah. It's been really interesting their sort of progress under Mikel Arteta in general. I know we've got a show coming out about this sort of thing with Jordan Jarrett Bryan, who's an Arsenal fan today, who will be able to say it much better than I can. But I think there was a few players when Mikel Arteta first came in, and I liked the idea that they were getting a young coach, and I thought they had a few good young players who they could rely on and start sort of bringing through. But there was a few too many of those players, the older players, who were sort of still tainted a bit by that post-Wenger era, and a few of the managers who sort of failed in that time, and a few of the players, to be honest, who failed in that time. And they seem to have got rid of a few of them now. They've got rid of Aubameyang off the wage bill and that kind of thing. Yeah. And they've brought through even more of these young players and recruited really well is the thing that I think's gone under the radar, is that they've obviously got the likes of Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe come through the academy, but there's a few young players there, and you mentioned Thomas Partey as well, who've been crucial to what they're doing this season, and that shows that Arsenal's recruitment has really stepped up, and a few of the moves they've made since the sort of Wenger era ended have been good ones for them and have started to sort of bear fruit for them now. So it will be a really tight game. Arsenal are flying at the moment. They're really sort of making a case for them to be that fourth team in the top four. You just hope that Liverpool have too much for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned there the recruitment, because they paid big money for Ben White and Ramsdale, and I was a bit like, that's quite a lot for those guys, but they're both having really good seasons. And pretty young players themselves as well. So going to have, it looks like sort of really good Arsenal careers, for the outlay. And if they can get sort of, close to 10 years from both of them, then they'll say that that's money well spent. But we're focused on the Reds anyway. A few comments coming in. That I thought would be quite interesting. Michael says, I reckon this is going to be the season's Leicester away, 18-19 on Boxing Day. The Reds in top gear. Loving the confidence there, Michael. Mitchell says, 10 games in is a real number in comparison to, say, 16 to 18 games. I can see the lads entering a real zen-like concentration, ticking these fixtures off. And I think that's a really good point from Mitchell. And I think you're seeing that, more than more. But we know there's another step from this Liverpool side in the zenness because we've seen it before. And I think Monday will sharpen the mind, but if the old saying was, use 10 games from greatness, there was the who they line, and it does, once it gets to 10 and then it's into sort of single figures, it is that finish line in sight, isn't it? And that's where, the injuries start hurting a little bit less, and, the tiredness, you're just sort of pushing out your mind, really. And Mo Salah just swerves injuries. Do you know what I mean?
Just decides he's all right.
Missed 1 day of training and he's fuming with himself. But it's that sort of mindset, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I love that Jurgen Klopp sort of came out and called Mo a tough cookie, because he was basically saying like, oh yeah, his knee had swollen up and like all these things, but yeah, he's just back in training today and like absolutely sound. I love that sort of steel determination from all the players, and it's something that they've shown, the whole time most of these lads have been together as Liverpool players have shown that that they sort of have that determination to take it one game at a time. And I think you always see that sort of increase for Liverpool towards the end of the season. Even last season when all sort of hell and high water came Liverpool's way and there was all sorts of mitigating circumstances around everything. The last sort of 10 games or so, Liverpool were absolutely flying and were back into that sort of championship form that followed the pretty much relegation form that had come before that. And you've seen it in loads of other past seasons as well, where Liverpool have just finished seasons so strongly, and it's something that they've got the muscle memory of doing. And I expect nothing less from this season. I expect them to keep the pressure, right on Manchester City to the very end. Obviously, we play them within that time, which sort of changes things a bit, because if we do win there, then you'd imagine that would sort of take us top of the league, and then it's about consolidating the position from there. So fingers crossed for whatever's to come. But if there's anyone you trust, it's this group of players, because they've shown us so many times before that they're willing to do all of this.
Absolutely. So a couple of selection things. There's obviously there's choices all over the park now, such as the strength of Liverpool's squad and the good injury situation we're in, but I want to focus on up top. We talked a little bit about Salah there. We're going to go on to talk about his contract situation. A couple of comments here about Firmino. Someone saying, I will play Bobby turns into Ronaldo against Arsenal. Agent 14, I fancy a Bobby Dazzler winner tonight, although George England said Diaz hat-trick incoming. It's whoever he picks is a really good player, and I haven't even mentioned Jota there. Sadio Mane I thought was excellent down at Brighton. He's got 5, as Gary Neville pointed out on Monday night, through tears. 5. I would go as far to say world-class options there up top, and whoever he picks, there's great options off the bench. But have you got a sort of preference who you go for the 3?
I think you can make a case for all of them, can't you? Because they've also got good records against Arsenal. Or you can think of like moments that each of them had against Arsenal, bar Luis Diaz obviously. But it would be so hard to drop Luis Diaz after the way he played at the weekend. I think I would go with the rhythm. I think the fact we've got Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup at the weekend allows you to make changes while still staying strong. And the idea that you can rest Diogo Jota and Roberto Firmino for a game against Arsenal and bring them in for an FA Cup game, and that would be your weaker side, is unbelievable, to be honest. And it's no sort of coincidence that there's pundits like Gary Neville sort of crying about how good that front 5 is now. I would stick with the same. I think Diaz played so well against Brighton. I think Mo's got his goal under his belt now, and we'll be looking to get more. And he's obviously specifically decided that he's swerving the injury just for this game. Yeah. And then Sadio Mane has his moment at the Emirates in his sort of first game, and I think he's absolutely flying through the centre of the park now. It's given him a new lease of life. So I'd love to see that 3 go again.
Yeah, okay. It's a great shout, but I think whatever he goes for will do the business against Arsenal. Will certainly look impressive and cause them problems. And if they don't, there's the options off the bench. Listen, there's loads more previewing this massive game against Arsenal on our subscription service, so audio and video. We've got the video that I mentioned before, Gareth and Mo, a really good preview of Arsenal. Mo watches a huge amount of football, so was able to give us really good analytics on the Arsenal side. And audio-wise, as Josh mentioned before, we've got got something quite big going out today with Jordan Jarrett Bryan, so a bit more in-depth on the game, on Arsenal, but also what it could mean to Arsenal seasons, and also a bit of a snapshot of where Arsenal are at the moment compared to where fans necessarily expect them to be, and how high he thinks the ceiling is for this Arsenal team. So really good in-depth preview down in London, probably from a pub that Neil has done. And also there was obviously the team talk hosted by the world famous Josh Sexton to the left of me as well. Rumours that he predicted a cagey 11-0 win for the Reds, but you'll have to listen if you want to know if that is true. But yeah, loads more on team selection. It was reacting to Jurgen Klopp's press conferences, so a little bit on that as well. So make sure you subscribe or download the app, and you get some free tokens if you haven't yet, and you can enjoy all that fantastic content, and obviously all the great content that we're going to be putting out for the rest of the season as Liverpool go through all 4 trophies. Just before we get into Salah stuff, I wanted to mention our live shows. So if you are over in Ireland, or you just fancy getting a plane over because you haven't been anywhere for ages, we are in Ireland next weekend. So we're doing Belfast on the Friday night, Dublin on the Saturday night, and Cork on the Sunday. We've got a really strong panel flying over for you, who absolutely can't wait to get stuck into the Guinness, to meet everyone, to say hi to old friends and new, and do some fantastic live shows over there. So do get your tickets. It's theanfieldwrap.com/TAW live, theanfieldwrap.com/TAW live. I think for a couple of those there's only a few tickets left, so I wouldn't hang about basically if you do want to go. But yeah, tickets still available for all 3 of those shows, and we absolutely can't wait to get over there. So Mo Salah's contract, then, I mentioned before the press conference, he does a bit of an embargo section for the written press afterwards, and talked a little bit more in depth. I saw the comment that he said, like, oh, you caught me out there, a bit fair play. And to be honest, I mean, I would never slag off Jurgen Klopp, but when it all happened with the agents and stuff, I did wonder that I would imagine that Jurgen wished he'd have phrased that sort of slightly differently, because it could have been perceived as he was coming out, you know, on the side of the club against Mo, which obviously he never, you know, he never wanted sort of give the press one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Damien Cavana, who was on the team talk with us yesterday, sort of said it best for me. Is the idea that, you know, Jurgen's in a very special role. Like, he doesn't really have necessarily any skin in this game in terms of, you know, Jurgen Klopp doesn't care how much Mo Salah gets paid. I think the only extent to which Jurgen Klopp will care how much Mo Salah gets paid is about keeping other players happy and making sure that they feel like they're being sort of, you know, paid fairly for the contributions that they make. And for him to sort of come out and maybe be seen to be aligning, as you say, could potentially be an issue, because he's in a very special position where he can basically say to Mo, look, that's you and your agent and the club going through that, but I'm here with you, I'm on your side, I want you to be here, I want you to finish your career here, I want you to, you know, win as much as you can possibly win here, and sort of keep his arm around him and keep him focused on the football, and that's what I think he wants to do. And I think that's what this sort of embargoed section of his press conference shows is that you know, he trusts Mo, and he wants to keep showing that he trusts Mo to keep focusing on the task at hand, because the task at hand's massive. And, you know, Mo Salah coming out on his social media and sort of saying that it's still in our hands and that kind of thing shows to an extent that he is sort of still focused on the task at hand as well. So I think you can sort of see it as, you know, Mo Salah's agent versus the club or whatever sort of going on behind the scenes, but Jurgen, you know, has to stand by his player, and it's good to see that he is doing that as well.
Yeah, and backs Mo to keep delivering, because that's what he's done ever since, you know, day one. Scored on his debut and pretty much hasn't stopped scoring since. And, you know, his work rate, what he creates for his teammates, the fact that he's almost at the top of the assists. He won't be at the top, but there's a fellow who plays right back who's got even more for Liverpool, pretty good at them as well. But, you know, there's no reason for anyone, certainly not Jurgen Klopp, to doubt what Mo Salah is going to keep putting in for this football club, you know, up until he leaves. And that might be this summer, that might be next summer, or that might be, you know, in 2028 or whatever it is. You know, that wouldn't be nice. That's my preference. But and he's correct to say that, you know, because he hasn't given us any reason whatsoever to doubt that. Absolutely,
and he obviously says that within this sort of embargo bit of the press conference as well. He says that there's a reason that, you know, Mo's played, I think it's like 171 of 180 games for Liverpool so far, is because he does have that mindset. He doesn't let setbacks get to him. You know, you mentioned that it feels like he's not stopped scoring since that first debut, but it feels like there's a conversation around Mo Salah every year where we start talking about goal droughts and that kind of thing, where he doesn't score for, like, you know, 2 games back to back or something like that, and all of a sudden we start to worry about his form. And it feels like, you know, it's sort of Groundhog Day every season when that comes around, because there are times when, you know, maybe he doesn't score as many goals as you're expecting him to because of the ridiculous high bar he's set, or maybe his performances fall a little bit by the wayside and it's actually just the goals propping him up. And you know, he's shown during his sort of 4 years at Liverpool now just how absolutely crucial crucial he is to this squad, how much his goals mean to us and how much they carry us to success, and you would expect no less of him to do that in these next 10 games, in whatever's left in the Champions League and FA Cup as well, because that's just what he's done this whole time. And as you say, he's never given Jurgen Klopp any reason to doubt that he would do anything other than that, and he would have his focus on anything else in the football.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to rep Mo Salah on the streets, wherever it is you live, there's this fantastic shirt, the Anfield Wrap have put together, front and back, that Josh has wonderfully demonstrated for you. We've got some fantastic ones for Alisson as well at the moment. The goalkeeper, who's in absolutely incredible form at the moment. So if you want an Alisson tee or you want a Mo Salah one, or loads of other stuff that we've got on our shop as well, it's theanfieldwrap.com/shop. Nice one to Stevie as well, who's tipping. I didn't even know tipping was a thing, but he's given us £4.99. So if you want to keep Josh Sexton in sweet fades, then feel free to sort of...
It's not very sweet right now.
We'll get him a sweet fade, then we'll do a campaign, Josh's sweet fade fund. He's also asked about when we're going to be back in Carragher's in New York, hopefully soon. We did have an American tour planned for, I think it was even March or April 2020 when the pandemic hit. We still got obviously great relationships with those venues, not least Carragher's, who've always looked after us. So we would love to be back in America this year, maybe in the autumn, if that allows. So hopefully see you all soon. But we'll definitely see you in Ireland next week if you come into those live events. Don't forget, tickets are still available for those. But yeah, up the Reds tonight, wherever it is that you're watching. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do a hot mic. We planned to, but we've been hit with a little bit of COVID internally as well. So we're a little bit sort of short staffed. So we're not going to be able to do the hot mic tonight, but we will be doing, of course, the post-match reaction shows, audio and video. The audio's from down in London. Akko's doing it, of course, hardest working man in the big smoke, and the video is going to be from here, and also all the other social media stuff from the team down there as well. So make sure you're checking out all that. But yeah, up the Reds, nice one.